Imagine 10 women, each more extraordinary than the last, who paved the way in fields like science, art, politics, and many more, but whose stories have been overshadowed by time and circumstance. These women, brilliant and bold, broke barriers and transcended limitations, making significant contributions to the world we know today. One of them became the first black manager at NASA, another was the world's first computer programmer, while yet another invented a technology that laid the foundation for Wi-Fi and GPS. And then, when you think you've heard it all, there is one who... Well, you'll hear about her soon enough. What's up, my amazing and curious folks? This is Caesar along with my brilliant co-host Sonia, here to unravel some mysteries together. Are you ready?
Hi everyone, it's Sonia here. Can't wait to dive into another fascinating topic with you all.
Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that bell icon so you never miss an episode of the Curiosity Wonderland. Trust me, you won't want to miss what we have in store. Our history books are filled with stories of incredible men who made significant contributions to humanity. But today, we're going to focus on women who were just as instrumental behind the scenes.
You've got my attention. Who are we talking about?
10 extraordinary women who impacted society in tremendous ways, but were largely overlooked. Our first story is about a woman named Dorothy Vaughan. Ever heard of her?
Can't say I have. What's her story?
Dorothy Vaughan was a key figure at NASA during and after World War II. She was born in Kansas City, Missouri in 1910 and displayed remarkable intelligence early on. After winning a full scholarship to study at Wilberforce University, she spent the 1930s teaching math.
She must have been pretty good at it to get a scholarship.
Yes, she was. During World War II, when the American government needed to fill roles left by men who had gone to fight, Dorothy's life took a turn. She joined a group of black female mathematicians at the West Area Computing Unit, part of the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, or NACE.
That's interesting. So what exactly did she do there?
Well, she worked on complex mathematical equations that were crucial for both defense industry needs and spaceflight goals. And when NASA was established after the war, Dorothy became the organization's first black manager.
Wow, that's impressive. And to think most of us have never heard of her.
Not only was Dorothy Vaughan instrumental in the operations of NASA, but she was also one of their earliest experts on a language called Fortran, a precursor to electronic computer programming. Her promotion to manager made her the first black person and the first woman to receive a promotion at NASA.
That's incredible. I can't imagine how tough it must have been for a black woman in that era to break through those barriers.
Absolutely. It's a testament to her intelligence and perseverance. But Dorothy Vaughan isn't the only woman to make an indelible mark in the world of tech and science. Have you ever heard of Ada Lovelace?
I can't say that I have. What's her claim to fame?
Well, Ada Lovelace, born in 1815 in London, is considered the world's very first computer programmer. She worked on an analytic engine, an early precursor to the modern computer, developed by Charles Babbage.
Wait, the first computer programmer was a woman? In the 19th century? That's pretty mind-blowing.
Yes, indeed. She added her own annotations to a translation of a paper about the engine, explaining its functioning, and even made predictions about how it might be used, bridging the gap between human programmers and their machines. Although Babbage never completed his engine, Lovelace's contributions were so significant that a programming language was named after her, and the UK celebrates Ada Lovelace Day to honor women's contributions to STEM fields.
Wow, that's fascinating. And who's next on our list?
Next up is Emmy Noether, a German mathematician born in 1882. Albert Einstein himself called her the most important female mathematician in history. She basically invented abstract algebra and theoretical physics.
These women are truly incredible. I can't help but wonder how much more they could have accomplished if they had been given the recognition they deserved at the time.
Emmy Noether worked tirelessly for years, often without pay, and made groundbreaking contributions in both math and physics. Her most notable work is Noether's theorem, which connected two key areas of physics, symmetry in nature and the universal laws of conservation.
That's massive. It's hard to believe she did all this with little to no recognition.
Indeed. In 1932, she gave a talk at the International Congress of Mathematicians, explaining significant abstract algebraic concepts. However, her life was cut short in 1935 after a battle with tumors.
That's tragic. Her work must have had a profound impact on the field.
Absolutely. Her legacy can be seen in many mathematical concepts that developed after her time. Now let's shift our attention to another trailblazer, Mary Anning.
I'm not familiar with her. Can you tell me more?
Born in 1799, Mary Anning was a significant fossil collector and paleontologist. Her work was mostly unrecognized until long after her death. She worked along the cliffs of the English Channel in Dorset, England. Every winter, she would meticulously collect fossils exposed by landslides and catalog them.
It sounds like she had her hands full. What kind of fossils did she find?
She found a variety of Jurassic marine fossils. At just 12 years old, she discovered the first correctly identified ichthyosaur skeleton. She also found the first two nearly complete plesiosaur skeletons and the first pterosaur skeleton discovered outside Germany.
That's remarkable. So despite the lack of recognition, she made significant contributions?
Absolutely. Her findings helped scientists identify that what were known as bezoar stones were actually fossilized bits of ancient animal feces. Plus, she discovered that ancient fossils of belemnite creatures contained ink sacs, similar to modern cephalopods. Despite her significant contributions, Mary Anning wasn't eligible to join the Geological Society of London because she was a woman. She faced financial hardships and often didn't receive due credit for her work. She was known in geological and paleontological communities by the early 1840s, but remained an outsider until her death in 1847. It's only in recent decades that her discoveries have been properly credited.
It's incredibly sad and unfortunately not an uncommon story. Many women in history have been denied credit for their work just because of their gender. It's a harsh reminder of the barriers they faced and still face in many fields.
You're absolutely right. Now moving on, let's talk about another trailblazer, Shirley Chisholm.
Oh yes, Shirley Chisholm, the first Black woman ever elected to the United States Congress, right?
That's correct. Born in 1924 in Brooklyn to immigrant parents from Barbados, she began her adult life working in education. In 1968, she was elected to Congress in New York's 12th Congressional District, marking a major moment in history. During her time in Congress, she worked on expanding the food stamp program and helped form the Special Supplemental Nutrition Program for Women, Infants, and Children, now known as WIC.
Wait, isn't she also known for something groundbreaking in the presidential race?
Yes. In 1972, when the Democrats were deciding their presidential candidate, Chisholm threw her hat in the ring. Though she didn't win the primary, her run made her the first Black candidate to seek a major party's nomination for President of the United States, and the first woman to run for the Democratic Party's presidential nomination. She served in Congress until 1983 and passed away in 2005. In 2015, she was posthumously awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom for her service and contributions to the United States. Let's move on to another fascinating figure, Hedy Lamarr. While she was known as a glamorous actress during Hollywood's golden age, few know that she was also a pivotal figure in the invention of Wi-Fi.
Wait, a Hollywood actress had a role in inventing Wi-Fi? Now I'm intrigued.
Yes, it's quite the story. In the early 1940s, Lamarr and her neighbor, a musician and composer named George Antheil, started looking into how they might be able to help the American cause during World War II. They became interested in radio technology and began experimenting with it.
And these experiments led to the invention of Wi-Fi?
Well, in a way. In 1942, Lamarr and Antheil developed a frequency hopping pattern which allowed for switching between radio frequencies. This solved two problems. It prevented the jamming of radio signals and made conversations private after the frequency hop.
That's fascinating. So they took this technology to the government?
Yes, they were granted a patent late in 1942 and immediately handed it over to the U.S. government. This had a significant impact on the war effort. allowing Allied forces to send encrypted information via radio without interference.
That's an immense contribution. But how does this relate to Wi-Fi?
This frequency hopping technology later served as the baseline for modern-day technologies like Wi-Fi, GPS, and Bluetooth. So while Lamar didn't technically invent Wi-Fi, she devised the critical precursor that allowed wireless internet technology to emerge decades later. Now let's move on to another pioneer, Junko Tabei, the first woman ever to scale Mount Everest.
Wow, that's quite an accomplishment. Tell me more about her.
Junko Tabei was not only the first woman to scale Mount Everest, but she also reached the top of the highest mountain peak on each of the world's 7 continents, a feat known as the 7 Summits.
That's incredible. How come we don't hear about her more often?
Tabei was a rather private person. Besides her climbing expeditions, she worked as a teacher and authored 7 books about climbing and adventure.
Did she contribute to the climbing community in any other way?
Absolutely. She led annual climbs up Japan's Mount Fuji with young people affected by disasters and other adversities. She also initiated cleanup projects to pick up the trash left by climbers on Everest.
What a wonderful legacy. I heard something about her name being used in space.
Yes, in honor of her, a mountain range on Pluto is known as Tabei Montes, and an asteroid was named after her in 2019.
That's such a fitting tribute. Who's next on our list?
The next person we're going to talk about is Rachel Carson, a marine biologist who played a significant role in the modern environmental movement with her 1962 book, Silent Spring.
What was the book about?
Her book discussed the impact of human consumption on the world and advocated for better control of potentially harmful chemicals in pesticides like DDT. Carson passed away in 1964, but her book went on to become a bestseller, sparking the environmental movement of the late 60s and early 70s. The impact of Rachel Carson's Silent Spring resonates even today, as environmentalism is a major concern for political parties globally. Speaking of pioneers in their fields, let's move on to Frances Oldham Kelsey.
You know, this reminds me of a childhood memory. When I was little, I was always curious about the food we ate and the medicines we took. I remember once asking my mother about how we know they're safe. She told me that there are people whose job is to ensure our safety, to make sure everything we consume has been tested and is safe for us.
Well, Frances Oldham Kelsey was one such person. Hired in 1960 by the Food and Drug Administration, she was given the task of assessing whether chemicals, additives, and other manufactured items should be approved for food production.
What an enormous responsibility.
Indeed. In her very first month on the job, she was asked to review the case of thalidomide, a sleeping pill. Despite corporate pressure, Kelsey insisted that it had not been adequately tested and prevented its approval.
That sounds like a crucial decision.
It was. Unfortunately, in Germany and the United Kingdom, thalidomide was widely used and caused a rash of major birth defects. In contrast, in the United States, thanks to Kelsey's decision, the population was not affected.
That's an incredible achievement for just one person.
Yes, and it didn't go unrecognized. In August of 1962, President John F. Kennedy thanked her for her due diligence, awarding her the President's Award for Distinguished Federal Civilian Service, the highest honor given to a civilian. Frances Kelsey's contributions to public health in America are certainly commendable. However, let's not forget about another outstanding woman in the field of health and medicine, Elizabeth Blackwell.
The first woman to receive a medical degree in the United States, right?
Exactly. Born in England in 1821, Blackwell moved to America with her family when she was 11. After her father's death, she took up teaching to support herself.
So, what sparked her interest in medicine?
The turning point was a remark made by a sick friend of hers. Her friend believed that a female doctor might have provided better and more empathetic care. This comment inspired Blackwell to become a doctor herself.
That's an emotional catalyst.
Indeed. In 1845, 2 physician friends allowed her to study under them. 2 years later, she applied to medical schools in New York and Philadelphia and was eventually accepted to Geneva Medical College in upstate New York.
And I'm guessing that wasn't a smooth ride.
Not at all. The all-male school faculty was initially joking when they voted yes for her admission. However, her admission was no laughing matter, and in 1849, Blackwell graduated from Geneva Medical College, becoming the first woman to receive an MD degree from an American medical school.
Her dedication is astounding.
It certainly is. Not only did she practice medicine, but in 1857, she also founded the New York Infirmary for Women and Children. Her efforts truly paved the way for women in the field of medicine. To wrap up, we've journeyed through the lives of 10 remarkable women, each leaving a mighty legacy in their respective fields. From Dorothy Vaughan making strides at NASA, to Ada Lovelace pioneering computer programming, Emmy Noether revolutionizing mathematics, Mary Anning discovering ancient creatures, and Shirley Chisholm breaking barriers in politics. We've also celebrated Hedy Lamarr's contributions to Wi-Fi, Junko Tabei conquering the peaks, Rachel Carson igniting the environmental movement, Frances Kelsey saving American citizens from a health catastrophe, and Elizabeth Blackwell leading the way for women in medicine. These women, though often overlooked, have made a profound impact on the world we live in today.
It's always humbling to realize that so many of the comforts and advancements we enjoy today were brought about by those whose names we might not even know. So, let's make an effort to remember these women and their remarkable contributions. If you enjoyed this episode, go on and blast that like button, leave us your thoughts in the comments, and share this episode with your friends. Together, let's ensure these stories are never forgotten.
And with that, we come to the end of another episode. We hope you enjoyed this journey through the pages of history, and we look forward to bringing you more fascinating stories in the future.
Thanks for tuning in to Curiosity Wonderland. We appreciate your support, and we can't wait to entertain you with more intriguing episodes. Stay curious, everyone.
And as always, stay safe and take care. Goodbye for now. This insightful episode was inspired by the article 10 Historic Women Who Deserve Way More Credit Than They Got by Selma Angelo, published on Listverse on April 8, 2024. If you're interested in learning more, you can find the full URL in our episode description. And now it's time for me to sign off.